I've traded beans and planted wheat. I've hunted whales and blown glass. I've delved into the deep and scoured the earth for precious gems. But never have I once Oranienburgered a canal. Oranienburger Canal places you as a developer looking to industrialize the town of Oranienburg and build out its infrastructure. Whenever you complete the infrastructure around a building or create connections via bridges, you will activate the buildings to gain their benefits, which includes resources, money, or prestige points. Over the course of multiple rounds, the player who best built up their section of the city will be the winner. You will get an empty city board and a wheel to keep track of your resources. On your turn, you will move the stack of action discs onto an empty space of the action board and take the associated action, making sure to leave one of the discs behind. The yellow disc on top is simply an aid to remind you where the active action is. If there is any money on the spot, take it and add it to your supply. The action board is divided into two parts. The bottom actions allow you to gain resources. This is done by moving the marker on your wheel. Taking this action, for example, would add 4 wood to your supply. Move the wood marker 4 spaces. The top part of the board allows you to build out your city board, which will require resources. The first 2 spots allow you to construct the buildings in the display. Pay the resources listed at the top of the card, and then place the building on any empty space of your board. The next 2 spots allow you to build pathways around the city. Dirt roads are cheap, but get the job done. Paved roads are pricier, but they grant more points and benefits. Then there are railroads and canals, which must always form a contiguous network. Anytime you completely surround a building with pathways, the building is activated and you will earn the rewards listed on the building. There are usually prerequisites for the rewards that depend on the type of pathways that are adjacent to it. This hoist, for example, grants you ore, clay, and wood, depending on whether or not it is adjacent to railroads, canals, or paved roads. After all the action discs have been used, the round is over. The building market is refreshed and money is placed on the action spaces. Both players can then turn the arrows on their resource wheels once for free, which ordinarily costs 2 wheels. This turns one of each of the basic resources into bricks and iron. The game continues until the last building is revealed. Points are awarded for the buildings you've constructed, money, leftover resources, prestige points collected, and pathways built. Subtract points for any unbuilt pathways, and the player with the most points is the winner. About 15 years ago, I stumbled onto Board Game Geek. Agricola was the #1 ranked game at the time, and I thought that would be a good place to start my exploration of board games. Little did I know that it would start my strange cardboard obsession, and here I am making videos about them. And over those years, Agricola has held a special place in my heart, not just for being my first board game love, but for all of the memories it has brought me, and for still being an excellent game that stands up to the test of time. Throughout the years, I've played a large swath of designer Uwe Rosenberg's designs. I've enjoyed a great deal of them, and even if I haven't been as enamored with his more recent output, I still keep an eye on them, hoping that his next game will ignite the same spark as before. Does Oranienburger Canal reach such lofty expectations? Frankly, no, but there's still a lot to like about it. The action economy is tense and full of agonizing trade-offs. Let's look at the resource spots. There's only 1 spot to gather wood, and 1 spot to gather clay. Pass on either, and you risk your opponent taking it next. You are constantly weighing your needs versus your opponent's, watching to see if you can pull off just 1 more turn of building to come back later for resources, and pouncing when you know it will hurt your opponent. Being able to capitalize on your opponent's weakness is a type of player-driven punishment that I enjoy. There is another spot that allows you to get any basic resources, but it's not as plentiful, and it's the only way to get ore. So you can get clay or wood if you really need it, but you're giving up the chance to get ore. Even more trade-offs. And what's this little guy? That's a bridge. By giving up the resources on this spot altogether, you can build a bridge between buildings. Whenever a building gets 2 bridges, it gets activated. That means that each building can be activated twice, and that goes a long way to establishing the arc of the game. When you start, your board is nearly empty, and your resources are meager. It takes effort just to build up enough resources to put up a building or 2, and further effort to surround it or build bridges to activate them. You may not have met their full requirements of the building, but any ounce of reward is enough to break you from the rhythm of gather, gather, build. The activation grants you a slight boost of resources, perhaps propelling you straight into your next build. And as you continue to grow your city, perhaps you'll come back later, activate it again, but this time hopefully for its full effect. You struggled and clawed your way to a fuller reward. It's growth, it's narrative, it's the best part of the game. But don't be fooled, just because you've activated a few buildings doesn't mean that your resource problem is solved. The graduated building decks means that later buildings are more difficult to construct as the game goes on. It's a constant uphill churn that keeps you on your toes for the full duration of the game. You'll be left stressing over having enough resources up until the final round. As the city grows and is formed by your hands, it is constantly wanting more. And for all the good that the buildings add to the experience, they are also the source of my greatest complaint. Every building is unique and offers varied abilities and effects. Only a subset of the deck is used each time, and there are 2 separate decks included in the base game, with 4 more decks available as expansions. If variety is what you're looking for, then you've come to the right place. I love the idea of a vast collection of buildings, but the problem is that all of the rewards are spelled out in a sometimes hard to decipher symbolese that I never became fluent in. The transport fleet is simple enough. For every adjacent paved road, receive 2 wood and a prestige point. Got it. The repair dock ups the complexity. It needs to have 2 adjacent canals, and then for every canal anywhere on the board, you can spend 1 ore or 1 coin to receive 2 wood and 1 prestige point. Okay, not exactly what I'd call elegant, but after some familiarity with the symbols, I was able to get to it. And then there's the Dracaene. And there's a pointing finger symbol that I've only ever seen on this card. There's a glossary that defines every card in the game in plain English, and I constantly had to refer to it, breaking the rhythm of each game. Sure, the burden was lessened over time, but I never got completely comfortable with it. I understand the need to create a language-independent game for a small publisher, but that doesn't mean it didn't bother me. The huge variety comes as a double-edged sword. The large swath of buildings makes it fun to see what may come up, but it increases the chances that you run across symbols that you haven't seen before, or that don't make sense to you. So to the glossary you go. And it's further exacerbated by the lack of any distinguishing features on the buildings aside from the name in small print. No illustration or photo to anchor you to their benefits. On a purely aesthetic level, it would have been nice to have unique drawings on the cards that would elevate your city beyond a simple grid. But on a practical level, I think it would give each building a visual identity that would go a long way to help me recognize buildings at a glance. I would find myself looking up a building in the glossary, looking away for a few moments, then forgetting which building it was amidst the sea of symbols. It wouldn't take too long until I remembered which building it was, but it was extra brain power that I'd rather have been committing elsewhere. Due to recent life events, I've been unable to play at higher player counts. Oranienburger Kanal works mostly the same at 1 or 2 players. The major difference is that the solo game is limited to 7 rounds. Tension is retained through the use of a neutral blocking disc, and it's a neat little puzzle, but I couldn't help but feel unrewarded by the end. Your score is evaluated, and anything above 120 points is considered a victory. I've managed to win a few times and lose a lot more, but my victories always seem to be the result of cards that just happen to fit well within my city layout. It's hard to set up for specific cards when there's a high chance that it won't show up and are hard to remember in the first place. It felt like victory was just a result of happenstance rather than my own smart play. It didn't bother me in a 2-player game because we're both saddled with the same luck of the draw, and we can both try and get in each other's way. At this point, I think I'd rather simulate a 2-player game by playing both boards than go back to the solo game. If it seems like I'm being harsh on the game, it's only because I like so much about it. The spatial considerations offer a satisfying puzzle to work through, the action selection is tight and meaningful, activating buildings and creating combos is always fun, but it stumbles in the execution. The lack of artwork on the buildings robs your cityscape of any sense of place, and the symbol soup created turbulence in what should be a smooth play experience. I'm not mad at you, Oranienberger Kanal, I just know you could have been better.